Welcome back to Nick Lange's Comic Corner, Classics, Highs, Non-Classics. This is episode number 752 and Doubleshot number 656. I got one Marvel trade and one DC trade, both from the library, and they're the finales for two different trade series in a way. First up, it is Uncanny X-Men New Age, Volume 2, The Cruelest Cut. Collecting issues 450 to 454, writing by Chris Claremont, and artwork by Alan Davis and Andy Park. Now, this is the final trade I have to review, the final trade of Chris Claremont's run. I technically have reviewed that, but this is the last one I have to review to pretty much conclude the entire run. With this one, there's kind of like two different stories to this one. One, it's basically the X-Men. It's Wolverine meeting X-23 for the very first time. Yeah, and this is only just 5 issues, and that takes up the first few issues of this trade. The other, of course, is the stuff with the Hellfire Club, where it sets up a plot thread that actually continues to a couple different X-books, where the Hellfire Club is back, and the White Queen is a woman named Courtney Ross. She's a character pop up in their book, and the Black King. Who is the Black King? Why is Sunspot of New Mutants? Yeah, but New Mutants aren't back yet. They come back in a few years. But this is actually pretty good. I like the Laura's meeting, and she wears a costume similar to her. This is her first costume she ever wears. It's similar to a costume that someone from the Savage Land wore. As a matter of fact, Wolverine wore this costume in one brief period of time. I gotta say, this is actually really good. I'm gonna give this a 9.5 out of 10. Final brief thoughts on this run. Since this is overall, this is the last trade I have to review for Chris Claremont's third era on the book. I gotta say, very good run. Yep, Alan Davis drew a majority of it, and love the story arcs, love new costumes. I also like the fact that Bishop was part of this team first time. Before he came back to Scoob, he had not been an X-team probably at this point for about a few years. Storm, of course, was over Extreme X-Men, so that's what she was. Rachel Gray was basically not doing very much. Wolverine was still active in about 3 books. He was active in Uncanny X-Men, New X-Men, and of course his own solo title. Nightcrawler was only active in Uncanny X-Men. Of course, he's still active this very day. Banshee had not been active in X-Men for years. Sage was a new character that Chris Claremont introduced back in the 90s, I think it was. But yeah, probably a big highlight of this run. There are 2 big highlights of this run that are really good things that Chris Claremont did. First, the resurrection of Psylocke. Yeah, I think even he probably understood that was a mistake. He killed her off in the second issue of his run for Extreme X-Men. Not the run Greg Pak did a few years ago. That's completely unrelated. That's why with a similar name. Yeah. But yeah, he killed her off, and then he brought her back like 3 years later. Brought her back and stuff like that. And having X-23 meeting Wolverine, fantastic form of genius right there. And her last appearance prior to this was actually in the miniseries NYX. They did do a follow-up series. She's in that one too. But the NYX miniseries was actually her first comic appearance. And I believe that was done by Marjorie Liu, I think it was. Yeah, this is kind of a loose follow-up to that. As for the whole thing with the whole thing of Sunspot being the leader of Hellfire Club, that lasts for a good couple years. Courtney Ross, still a new character, but this by far was a fantastic run, and it's interesting though that the writer who replaced him was Ed Brubaker, though he was not in the book for very long. No, Claremont was on the book for a good 3 years, while in the case of Chris Claremont, it was like, well, Chris Claremont was in the book for 3 years. I think Brubaker was only in the book for about a little over 2 years. Yeah, he was in the book for 2 years. Not as long as Claremont's run, but I at least got praise this run over his previous run. His last run he did for Uncanny X-Men was back in 1999 prior to this. He was only in the book for about a year, and then he left. And then I think Lobdell took over briefly, and then it was Joe Kelly. And after Joe Kelly, we had the weird run by Chuck Austin. And then, of course, we have this run. Yep. So as of right now, for trades-wise for Uncanny X-Men, I have reviewed every single trade to collect issues from 440 up until 619. Every single trade. Yep. Moving on to another final trade. The final trade for Catwoman, the collect issues of Catwoman Volume 4. Catwoman Volume 8, Run Like Hell. collecting issues 47-52. Yeah, the whole storyline run like hell. That takes up the first 4 issues. The last 2 issues are two-parter. Yeah. She gets a bounty on her head after she stops being the crime boss of Gotham City. She was only crime boss for like a year in publication-wise. Though this kind of gave Marvel the idea of making Black Cat a crime boss, but in the case of Catwoman, it only lasted for a year. In the case of Black Cat, this lasted for, believe it or not, 3 years. Yeah, this lasted from what I remember, I think it was from 2015 up until just recently. Yeah, 3 years. A lot longer than Catwoman. At least Catwoman had a good idea with the Black Cat. It seemed like half the time they had no idea what to do with that. And in this, basically, she goes to rob somebody. Of course, she puts there's a bounty on her head by a former rival of hers, and various people try to go after her. Who would people go after her? First, she runs into various different Batman villains in this arc. She runs into Penguin, Clayface, Killer Croc, who she does remember. He was her bodyguard at one point. Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn. Black Mask shows up the last couple issues, which I'm not surprised by that because of Catwoman's long history with the guy. Let's see, who else shows up in this book aside from those villains? Let's see if I can find who else shows up in here. There's a few others. Let's see. Also, for some reason, when Selina's not in her mask, her hair is blonde. And this is also a period of time when Bruce Wayne was still not getting his memory back. This is before he got his memory back. And, of course, they had Chad Batman show up in here. Yep. Let's see. I don't think... And she also spends some brief period of time. We also have appearance by Victor Zsasz. Yep, this guy. Can you believe this is the second DC trade in a row I've reviewed where he's this is the second final DC trade in review I've read in a row where he's showing up. He also did show up in the last trade that collected Nightwing Volume 3. Of course, there he had a goatee. Here he's clean shaven. Yep. Let's see. I don't think there was any other villain who popped up in this run. Oh yeah, they even have Lex Luthor pop up in this. Yeah, Lex Luthor shows up in Catwoman. Yeah, that's something that never happened before. There's also something involving, the last couple issues basically involve the history of Black Mask. Well, Mask. There's a flashback when, not long after Justice League was first formed. Yeah, I'd say like during the 5-year skip because, well, we have Dick Grayson here as Robin. And we also have everybody in their, well, New 52 attires. Well, minus Superman because he doesn't have that stupid collar on. But yeah. Mostly his lamp was from Justice League 52. Was done by Dan Jurgens. But yeah. Yeah, that's mainly, like I said, the last couple issues is all about Catwoman versus Black Mask. And that's really it, yeah. It's a fantastic little run for this. Now, who writes these last 6 issues? Frank Tieri. Yep, and fun fact, guess what other comic book he's working on the same exact time he's working on this? Black Knight from Marvel Comics. That's not a joke. He actually got that. I think that both books started around the same time. But here's the thing. Black Knight actually ended just prior to this thing. The Black Knight lasted for 5 issues before being canceled. And it was the first all new, all different Marvel Now title to get canceled. Though it got canceled with low sales. After this title ended, what did Catwoman do up until recently? Well, she popped up. She became a recurring character in Batman for the next 2 years, and also having a one-shot called Catwoman Election, written by Meredith Finch. She also popped up for several issues of Batgirl Birds of Prey, and then she got her ongoing series recently. This is like between this and the current ongoing series. Yeah, that's all she's done. Oh yeah, she also appeared in a one-shot where she had a date with Damian. Yep. But that's really all she's done. Okay? But yeah, this was actually really, really... Oh yeah, they also have Batgirl show up in here. Yeah, really weird to have Batgirl show up in here, but not a bad idea. Yep. But otherwise, so let's talk about the final thought, my final thoughts on this run for Catwoman. The book had its ups and downs. Especially since the first issue did raise some controversy due to the issue ending with Batman and Catwoman having sex on a rooftop. I'm talking about sex. Not making out on a rooftop. I'm talking about having actual sex. It's just, oh yeah, keep the mask on. Yep. And there was various other issues after that basically told, like, what spots in this particular rooftop they had sex. So, sex. Yes, that's all basically, that was the subtext of Joe Winnick's when he was the original writer for the book. Yeah, but that was not his fault. Oh no, I don't blame him for that. You see, from what I've read, it was actually DC editorial's idea for him to have the book be that way. But my major problem with the run wasn't that. Oh no, was the villains who popped up on the run. They were terrible villains. I'm not talking about really bad people. I'm talking about they look awful and very disappointing villains and so weak. And there was this detective who appeared throughout this run and the Sentinels run and a little bit during Giovanni Valentine's run. Didn't appear in this run at all. Where his detective was obsessed with arresting Catwoman. Yeah, that was a subplot for him that went nowhere. He tried various times over the course of this entire run to basically get Catwoman behind bars. Eventually, she did go to jail briefly in this arc, but it never went anywhere. But the highlight for the Catwoman series, well, from the period of basically when this was being published, from 2011 to 2016, was the artwork. The artwork was pure fantastic. The one thing I have praised for Ann Nocenti's run, the subject I have criticized the run, it did feel like a continuation of where Joe Winnick left off, because most writers have this thing where they start completely someplace else. Yeah, but Ann Nocenti's run felt like a continuation of Joe Winnick's, which is nice. And, yes, she did have, during Nocenti's run, she was tied into at least 2 crossovers. Yep, first it was Death of the Family. Yeah, Winnick's run only one, Night of Owls. She had one issue tied into that. But I was expecting all the Bat books tied into it, except for Batwoman. Yeah, as far as I know, I've never got an explanation for that at all. Though it did have a tie into Zero throughout Ann Nocenti's run. There was exactly one issue of the entire run not done by Ann Nocenti. No, it was actually issue 25. That was done by Margie Bennett, who later on, of course, does recently the Batwoman series. Yeah, throughout the Ann Nocenti run, we had 2 crossovers that she basically were tie-ins for. First was Death of the Family, which basically Catwoman had to get a new costume because her costume was destroyed during that arc, and of course she had to rob people. And there was also the DC Young Love, which had a story for her in it, and it took place between a couple of issues of the series. Yeah, they collected in I think it was Catwoman Volume 4. It actually was for it. Then she of course had that weird thing. Also, she also even had a couple issues tied to Black Down Power Bill to deal with Eclipse. So out of the 3 titles tied into it, this one was by far the worst tying into it. And then she also dealt with demons after that, which was really weird. Had a gang war with the Penguin. And then she went underground, briefly fought the awful Joker's daughter. And here's the thing. Nobody had any idea what to do with this character. Apparently Margie Bennett kind of redeemed the character thanks, of course, to her one-shot. And Liddell had a pretty good idea what he wanted to do with her, but apparently no one else knew what to do with it because he was a pure garbage of a character. Yeah, even Ann Nocenti even had the gall to do a one-shot for her. Yes, a one-shot. And it's by far one of the worst one-shots. The book was pure garbage. And they put in the Catwoman book, which kind of makes sense because she ran that book. And of course we had and the Ann Nocenti run did end on a good note with the Race of Thieves crossover, which was a loose tie-in to Rogue's Rebellion, which features the Batman, which is the Flash Rogue, which was nice. And after that we have the Giovanni Valentine run, which had Catwoman become a crime boss, which actually was quite interesting. I loved it. Even a couple issues we had Chap Batman show up, which was really nice. And then we have this. Of course, we had a cameo by Chap Batman. And, of course, the Bruce Wayne before he got his mind restored. Briefly did guest star in here. But one thing I praise about Terry and Giovanni Valentine is the fact we have Batman villains appearing in this book. Excuse me. Some of whom barely appear in other books. Like, for example, prior to Batman Eternal, the Penguin appeared lots of times. I mean, DC overdid it when it came to the Penguin. Killer Croc didn't do very much, but here's the thing. After he appeared in this particular arc, he got moved over to Suicide Squad. Yeah, once his series wrapped up, Killer Croc got moved over to Suicide Squad. Penguin still occasionally shows up after this. Of course, Harley Quinn's got her own series, so she's not going to place. Ivy, of course, shows up occasionally in her book, but she doesn't do very much. But yeah, this by far, the book had ups and downs, but it was still a good book. But probably by far the weakest book when it comes to writing was Anne Santi's Run was kind of weak. It had an okay start to it, and then in the middle it got really, really bad. Yeah, it went completely downhill, like middle of the run, like around Gotham Underground story. And then when it came to the final arc of the run, Race of Thieves, it kind of felt like, to me anyways, where the heck was this? Where the heck was this style of storytelling during that Gotham Underground crap? Why couldn't we get this instead of the Gotham Underground crap? Yeah, and by the way, Catwoman was actually one of 2 titles. That one of 3 titles overall, it's gone to Gotham Underground. But here's the thing that happened with 3 titles. Catwoman basically had Anna Santi leave the title. For Batwing, the series got canceled. And the same thing happened in the Red Hood Arsenal. The book got canceled like not long after they went to the Gotham Underground. Yep. Yeah, but otherwise though, that's really it for this particular review. Stay tuned for the next episode. I'm going to review 2 X-Force trades. Yep. But until I see you there, bye.